Minasan konnichiwa,
Konnichiwa.
and welcome to Musings from Japan. I'm Mark Marin, watashi Mark Marin desu.
I'm Greg Taylor. Watashi wa Greg Taylor desu.
And this is Musings from
Oneshimasu.
Japan. This is Musings from Japan number
54.
Right, 54. No, that's 9.
54.
No, if you put 4, that's 9.
Oh, so it's not 59 because it's 54.
It's 54.
54.
Okay, all right.
That's right. So just so everybody's clear on that.
We're practicing
Can
our
you believe
hand
it?
gestures.
That's right.
So,
Can you
Well,
believe it? It's number 54 and it's hot.
yeah, very hot. I think everywhere around the world's hot. Everyone's hot. That's cool.
Well, I'm kind of glad I'm not back in California because I missed weeks of incredible heat. Like we're talking up to 44 or 45 degrees Celsius.
That's right.
And that's about 114 or 100
Yep.
something like that in Fahrenheit. Ugh.
100
But
teams.
yesterday, for me, it's still the rainy season.
No,
it's not
no.
the rainy season. The rainy season's over for me officially.
For you,
But
yeah.
it was, what was interesting was yesterday. The rainy season they say was over yesterday for us in Tokyo, and the thing is, it was 30. No, it was 38, 39 degrees Celsius. No, it was hotter. Either way, it felt like 42 degrees Celsius with the humidity, and that's about 107 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Terrible.
So
So
for
I'm
Japan,
not-
that's hot. So yeah.
it's terrible for Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, it was a pretty bad day. But one interesting side note with that is it was the first day since I've been here all summer that I've heard cicadas.
Oh, wow.
So the cicadas have been quiet. They've been in bed, whatever they do.
What?
There's been no cicadas.
Right.
And then yesterday they were out in full force with the bright sunlight. Today it was a little sunny earlier, or it was clear a little earlier, and then it got cloudy again.
Ooh.
And I think they went back to bed because you don't quite hear them so much. But yesterday they were really going strong in the morning.
Yeah, yesterday it was 33 degrees in Niigata, 33 degrees Celsius. And humidity was around 65, 70% after it rained in the morning. But we heard cicadas in the park when I was out in the park with the children. We're walking around. You could hear the cicadas, but it wasn't strong. I think they're waiting for the rainy season here to officially end.
That's what they did with us.
Yeah, they
And
said
I could hear them pretty well this morning, except now it's later in the day and it got
they're
cloudy.
tired. They're tired.
Yeah.
They'll come out in the afternoon when it cools down.
Yeah. So, but
So-
they've been asleep the whole summer,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's been rainy season. But
Yeah.
now, what's interesting is with the rainy season getting over or ending, is that we're coming into festival season and
Right.
Obon,
Right.
Matsuri, the festival. So there's fireworks. There's Hanabi tonight here in Okazaki.
Wow.
So we might go, and we were talking about going to a festival, to a Matsuri, but I told my wife, I says, nah, maybe we don't need to go tonight,
Yeah, well, I mean,
but we
here-
might go see fireworks.
well, the fireworks are always good here. We had Niigata City had a festival, I guess maybe 2 weeks ago now. So it already started in Niigata City. So many places are having their festival start. And a festival in Japan usually is a summer festival. It celebrates the summer, and people wear yukata. They dance. They have food booths. They have fireworks, and it's just kind of a nice local time, to celebrate, and kind of relieve yourself from the summer. So here in Shibata, we're going to have our festival somewhere in August, I guess. Niigata, I know, is in August, and theirs is August 8, 9, 10, just before the Obon holiday is Niigata Matsuri, the Niigata Festival. So
That's great.
Yeah, so you're having yours early, so that's good. So you can go out and enjoy, and You are you going to wear jinbei or a yukata?
Well, I have my jinbei in my room in the next room.
Yeah,
I don't think
a
I don't know if
jinbei
I can
is
fit it anymore.
a jinbei is basically a summer wear for men, you know, so a light wear. It's okay if if it's tight, you can just open shirt, Greg, open jinbei,
Oh, thank you, Mark.
let it
It cost
hang
me
out,
about 8,000 yen.
let it hang out.
Yeah, well, that's what it wants to do. It wants to hang.
Well, that's good. Well, the other thing that's happening in Japan right now, and it's happening here in Niigata. I'm not sure about where in Okazaki or on your side. COVID is coming back here with a vengeance. Many people are getting sick with COVID. We had some teachers and kids and stuff out with COVID, and I went to I had to go to the doctor because I had a cold a week ago, and it was really bad. But I had like 3 days off of work, so I had to go and get it checked. And basically, then they asked, "Are do you have COVID?" And I said, "No." And they did a quick test, and nothing. I had nothing, just had a cold, But they're now that in the offices they're spacing people out again, and people have to come in at a certain time. They just can't loiter and usually in a doctor's office in Japan, you could walk in and sit down and then they'll just take you an order. But they want you to be, registered ahead of time in the check.
You
But
know what? Well, can I share
yeah,
something with
go
you?
ahead, go ahead.
Yesterday, I feel like I'm getting a sore throat. In fact, I have a sore throat. It's not that major, but I have a sore throat yesterday and today.
Hmm.
And I haven't really talked about it, but I don't feel 100%. And so I wonder, because I haven't been out that much since I've been here in Japan
Right.
for the past 5 weeks or so. I haven't ventured out much anywhere, and so I'm just curious. And I know that even worldwide, I can tell you. Well, President Biden, they reported that he has COVID this week.
They didn't report it. He
and,
did. He said he had COVID.
Yeah, so I had friends who went to Europe, and numerous friends caught COVID when they were in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you mentioned what's going on here in Japan now, and I don't know if I've ever had COVID, and I just don't know what is going on with me. And I know that I was in the train station, in a wonderful train station the other day, and
We'll talk about that in a bit.
yeah, and there's a person who had some kind of infection. He was sitting up against the wall and he's just coughing like crazy. So and I don't know. We'll hopefully I don't have anything too major or whatever. So
Well, I mean that kind of. I was just wondering because you had taken a kind of a short holiday, you and your family, and you came actually to Niigata.
that's correct.
You came, and so actually, I got to see you face to face, not in this format, but I got to see you face to face here in beautiful Niigata.
And why did we come? Because one, it
Mm.
was my birthday this month, and my wife wanted to do something special for my birthday. And then the other thing is, there's two more things. Second thing is it's really cheap to travel right now for us
Mm-hmm.
because with the fact that I'm here, we're saving a lot of money because we don't eat out too much. We haven't eaten out too much, and the prices for me, because the exchange rate of the dollar versus the yen it's like on sale. It's an incredible bargain. And so even just in those 5 weeks, I've saved up a huge amount of money.
Right.
Not so huge, I guess, but enough money that would make this kind of a trip economical and affordable.
Yeah.
Because Niigata's actually quite far. It's a 4-hour bullet train ride.
Mm.
And so, yeah, we came to Niigata and saw you and some other friends. Didn't get to see so many friends, but fantastic.
But you got to see the Rise Up Big Band, which you
Yes.
used to play, which is from Shibata, and we were playing at the Niigata Jazz Street Festival, and you got to see the band, and they got to see you, and then you have a nice picture, which I will share at the end of this Musings, so people can see
Thank you.
Greg's
It's great.
hanging
I
out with
got
the
to
band.
see some friends from long ago, and I played 3 years with that band,
Mm.
and it was great. You guys had a really nice crowd at that concert. Uh,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was, there's hundreds and hundreds of people there, and it
Mm.
was a big hall, and it was, I'd say about half to two-thirds full, and it was a huge hall.
Yeah, which is surprised me too. I mean, the size of the crowd, because we're not a Niigata band. We're outside of Niigata, so coming into Niigata City, not a lot of people know about us. But I think we've been doing this for about 10 years now in Niigata City, so I think we've built a reputation, and it's really good. And the band, and I listened to a couple recordings of the band taken by some people in the audience, and actually they played a lot better than I thought they did. And the pitch was good, the feeling was good, and the swing was good, which is, Greg, as you know, because I just want to swing. I just get, tired of hearing straight quarter notes and straight
Yeah.
eighth notes all the time.
Well, I enjoyed your piece,
Yeah, yeah.
and but it was good to see you and some other friends. I didn't get to see very many people out, in my friends circle, but that's okay.
But you did get
Um,
to see something that I haven't seen yet in Niigata. You
oh
went to
yes,
Niigata Station,
yes.
and
So
we've alluded to it here before. So,
if you recall, this is what amazes me, and what amazes me about social media and the internet and YouTube and whatnot is that you're able to see things happening,
mm,
or develop over time, even if you've left a place because of through social networking.
right,
So, because I moved away from Niigata in 2017,
right.
and I lived there from 2013 to spring of 2017, and in 2000, I think it was 2015 or 2014 or 15, they started construction bit by bit,
On
and
the
actually,
station itself, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and because Niigata Station generally served about 37,000 people a day according to statistics. And
Mm.
and the thing is, but it was an old station, and it had undergone some renovations. What was it, 20 years ago, or between now
No,
and
no,
20
before that,
prior?
before the construction, this current reiteration of Niigata Station, the last major reform of this was done about 40 years ago, before
What
I
about
came.
Ekinon with where Big Camera is, and
That was the beginning of the construction, Greg, when they did
yeah,
that, which was
that was
before
and
you
that
got
was
here.
what wasn't it 20 years ago? Wasn't it there?
Yeah,
No, it wasn't. It
they
was
have been
what
work. This current project of Niigata Station actually started when I came to Niigata 32 years ago. They were, because it's not just the station; it's the whole
area.
lifting area, because they lifted the tracks up. They opened up different sides of the station. Now the station is basically lifted up,
So
because now
track
you
number
could
4, if you walk in the center of the station, it was not a very large area.
you could go
Uh,
straight to the track.
you could go straight to the tracks, and then it was and but number 4 closed fairly quickly when
Yeah,
I lived in Niigata. It was
when you
closed
were
most.
yeah.
I
So
can remember traveling on number 4 from number 4 platform,
yeah,
but then it closed, and most of the time I lived in Niigata, I was never able to use it. And then 7 and 8 were, or 8 and 9 or whatever, they were further on down, and then all the tracks now, the local tracks for the train tracks, they're raised on the same level as the bullet train, the Shinkansen.
right.
Absolutely fascinating.
Which was one of the purposes, because there was a problem if you took a local train and you had to transfer to the Shinkansen. Before, you had to take the local train, then go up the stairs because there was no escalator. You had to go up the stairs and then cross the station, and then go back down the stairs to the Shinkansen area. And it took a long time. And if you're carrying luggage, it was almost impossible. And so there was a lot
Yeah.
of complaints. And so they wanted to make everything now logical. And it looks like Tokyo now, because you get off a
Oh,
local train, You get out the gate, go around a corner, come around, and then you're right on the Shinkansen now.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I think it's going to stimulate the economic development in Niigata.
Oh, you should
I
have seen. You should have seen when they opened it because it was a big deal. People were in line just to go in there and see it. They were standing in line, waiting, to see the shops and the tracks and all this stuff. I mean, it's a big tourist boon for us in Niigata now.
And
And
it's
this,
still not
and
complete. There's still major
right,
construction going on right now, but
yeah,
but inside the main station itself, that stuff is mostly done.
right,
And what's fascinating is now it reminds me of Nagoya because in
mhm,
Nagoya, the buses can drive under the station,
right,
and there's a passageway for the buses. In fact, the bus terminal is underneath Nagoya Station. It's on
right,
the ground level. And what's fascinating is when we got to Niigata on the Shinkansen, and that was a wonderful ride to get there. Um, I asked the tourist organization, and she said, I says, what about the basement? And she says there is no more basement
no,
in Niigata Station.
no,
And actually, the first floor, the ground level, is the first floor, but a lot of the shops and things. For example, Kokolo is massively increased in size and
right,
also location throughout the station.
yeah.
It's absolutely
It's
incredible.
it's on both sides. It surrounds the station now. You have an
Yes, and
east, yeah,
they have shopping and
more restaurants now than they had
they
before.
have like yeah, it was just amazing, and it was incredibly crowded. And I know it was Marine Day; it was a national holiday on Monday,
Hmm,
the day we left Niigata to come back here. But it was so it was a holiday weekend, so there was a
hmm,
lot of people there. But still, I just I don't remember Niigata station being that crowded and having well actually had all the space to go around, but there's a lot of people everywhere.
right. Well, now Niigata Station has become more of a hub now. So they added some more local trains, which would not necessarily coming to Shibata, but in the Niigata area, going towards Niigata University, towards Maki and Mitsu, those areas. So there are more trains available now than there used to be, because now they can accommodate that as they have a better system. So it's more efficient. So they haven't increased Shinkansens, and the trains going north haven't increased, but the Inaho and those trains, their schedule set, and it's easier now to transfer. That's the
So
big
I want to
thing.
know why the Inaho, which is the limited express train
Mm.
in Niigata Prefecture, the Inaho is a different color.
Hmm.
It used to be yellow and orange.
They have different. They don't have just one Inaho. They have like a three or four different Inahos. They're all
And
different
that's
colors.
something they didn't have when I was there
No,
in from Niigata to say northward like Akita or Murakami or
yeah,
whatever.
Yamagata. Yeah,
Yamagata. That's yeah.
yeah.
So yeah. So Niigata Station, folks, if you ever get a chance to go to Japan and to visit Japan, don't do the typical tourist thing like go to Kyoto and
Uh,
Osaka and Tokyo. Come to Niigata and it's kind of out of the way, but actually it's worth it. It's the beauty of the city and the surrounding area is just amazing.
well,
Um,
and if you come to Niigata, Niigata City itself, is a day trip. But if you spend time in Niigata, I mean, I suggest also to go to Sado Island and go to the surrounding areas like Murakami, like Greg mentioned, or Shibata
so
Castle,
yeah,
or south to Nagaoka. I mean, Niigata Prefecture is like the fourth largest prefecture in Japan. So, I mean,
you
it's
can
a
spend a whole
very
weekend in Niigata Prefecture and still not get enough.
right. It's a very large place, so it takes time to see Niigata. Because Niigata is not like Tokyo, where you go to Shibuya and you can see a bunch of stuff, or Akihabara, or those kind of places. I mean, Niigata is actually a living, breathing area. So you just go to this area and check it out, and you can see anything you want. Modern cities, museums, pro sports, or go fishing, go boating, go to the beach, go to Sado Island. Sado Island used to be part of the Kyoto government, 1,000 years ago. So you can see things from the before the Edo period on Sado Island. So a lot of history, a lot of
That's remarkable.
interesting. Yeah, I mean, Niigata is a good place. So, and if you come, let me know. I'll help you out. So
Yeah, just see Mark.
yeah, you can see
But
me. I'm also one of the relics of Niigata now.
I consider I will always for the rest of my life consider Niigata one of my homes.
Good.
And
You
I
should.
mean it was, and I got to see Shibata where I lived, and I got to
you
a
got to
little
see
bit.
the parking lot where you
I lived for 3 years. I had a room for 4 years
oh
actually, and I remember the seasons would come and go, and I'd have, like, when it was fall or spring, I'd have my, like, right now I couldn't have my window open, but I during the fall or spring I'd have the window open and the cool air would come in,
hmm,
and that building is now a parking lot,
yeah.
and I didn't get to see my friends who I lived there with and associated with there, but that was,
Well,
at least
one
I
thing
got to see the neighborhood.
I can say about that's interesting about your trip here. I realized that the three different buildings that you lived in physically. One is completely demolished and now a parking lot. That's the one here in Shibata. One in Niigata City, the building has been closed because the owners sold out or didn't want to pay whatever, and now the building is abandoned. And the other one, the last one you lived in, which is owned by my son's family, um, they're going to close it down because they're going to demolish it and redo. So the three places you lived, Greg, are gonna be gone. You know,
But that's a good thing. At least I'll have those memories.
you have the memories, but it's kind of interesting. Wow, I didn't. But when I came to Niigata, the place that I lived, when I first lived in Niigata City, is also gone. But it was an old,
Yeah.
very old place that I lived in, and it's gone. But I'm glad because it was a bad room. Anyway, so so it was great to see you, Greg, and your family, and I hope we had a good time and we ate some good food and talked a lot. So
Great food, yeah.
yeah, so
Great Niigata food. And I even
so
had the traditional Niigata tarekatsu, which is
right,
a pork cutlet deep fried with a sweet sauce, and it was
special
delicious.
sweet sauce. Oh,
Yeah.
tarikatsu don. Anyway, okay, I want to get to something a little more uh, topical. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
The
Are you ready,
American
folks?
the American election. You know,
Yeah. So at the time
so
we make this recording, it's just about a week out from former President Trump's assassination attempt
right.
in Pennsylvania.
And I believe the Republican National,
Is going on at the time of this.
it should end by the time this release. It should be over. So, because I think today's the last day that we're talking
Today's the
it.
last day.
So, um,
And really, it's the first time anybody's heard President Trump speak since that attempt.
right. I haven't heard it yet, so I'm not saying anything about the what he says or anything. But I have an observation as an American living abroad. And because I'm not living in America, I don't feel the politics or the stress of these daily things. And I'm not sure if a lot of people, like, some people I talk to, my family members and stuff, don't feel of anything about the presidency. They don't really care. And I'm not, and that's the question I want to pose, Greg, because I have family members and some friends who just don't really care who's president because it doesn't matter to their daily lives. So whatever they're doing is going to be not it's not going to be affected by the presidency changing, or whether it stays the same. It doesn't affect the local things. What affects them is what the state does, or what the state government does in the regulations or non-regulations or whatever the things. And my family is, they don't care about the abortion issue. They don't care about the gun issues. Those things are for them are doesn't matter. So So my question is a little bit different, Greg, for you because you live in America. And you're more in touch with an American feeling. Really, how much of a difference does it make whether President Biden remains in office or is voted out and Trump becomes President Trump again? How does that affect you?
You know what? I think technically it shouldn't affect me.
Mhm.
Um, but this is well, folks. So we're musing from Japan right now.
And we're musing about America for a second. So,
Yeah, because we're musing and we're musing from Japan. We muse about Japanese things. We just muse. Uh, I think that I think that there's quite a bit of a divide between the two political parties and their philosophies and
but there,
and what
but but there always has been ever
there
since.
always has been. But I think today it's deeper, and I think that there's a bit of frustration. There's both sides could, I think, be better. I think it could be like the time of 40 years ago, because 40 years ago they had disagreement, they had strong disagreement. 50 years ago they had strong disagreement, but they were able to talk about it, and they were able to talk about it in a kinder,
I,
somewhat
I,
gentle
I,
fashion.
let me stop you at that point because this is where I see the divide. So, the political parties. George Washington was the only president we ever had who was not in a political party. Everyone, he had no political leaning once one way or another. He was a completely neutral president, and he warned in his farewell address after his second term that there should be no political parties because once you start taking one faction, then you're going to eliminate the ability to compromise with the other side of an argument. And he warned that political parties will be the death or could be the death or destruction of this democracy that they forged at the time. And now, of course, he wasn't thinking about now. He was thinking about in his day. They just started a new country and he didn't want it to fall apart. But his vice president, John Adams, automatically took one side, and his vice president was Thomas Jefferson. The system was different. The top two vote getters became president and vice president. So Jefferson took the other side. He was completely opposite of John Adams, and they were constantly fighting. And this is where it started. But the one thing that you just said, the one thing Adams and Jefferson politically were completely opposite. We're talking completely right and left. But they could be work together as a president and vice president to get things done. They could talk, and even after they were out of office, they still corresponded and debated, but they talked about what would make it better. And of course, that they both died on the same day.
Oh, I think I forgot about that.
Right.
Yeah.
John Adams and Jefferson died on the same. I mean, they were so in tune with each other. I'm not saying they died because that's how they died. No, what I was saying is that they were so focused on trying to look at their side and see how their side could meet in the middle with the other side. And that was the whole part of the discourse. And that kind of thing was very prominent in American politics until Andrew Jackson, and who was our first populist, our first, non traditional president came, and then from that point on, factions and parties and this kind of, like you said, the how would you say, not very social rhetoric. There's the debates became more heated, they became more personal, and what Trump and Biden and before Obama and other presidents, actually the rhetoric that has gone on in presidential elections in our lifetime, Greg, is actually nothing compared to what they used to call people back in the day. They accused presidents of being, adulterers, having illegitimate children in the, I mean, what they do
Well,
now
they
is,
don't they do that today too?
yeah, but they do that today. True, that's true. But and you know the things that they call President Trump, you know, that he's a womanizer and all that stuff.
And a felon.
They the felon. Okay, well, they did that to Grant. They did that to Chester Alan Arthur. They did to Rutherford Hayes. They did that to William Henry Harrison. You know, and John Tyler. John Tyler, President Tyler. John Taylor Tyler. I can't remember.
Tyler.
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 Okay, he has grandchildren still alive today because he was a woman. He was in his 70s and had a bride in her teens. You know, and he's got grandchildren today that are still alive. We're talking 120 years later, still.
And
I
he
mean,
was buried in Richmond, Virginia.
yeah, and Virginia, and so we've got all these kind of sordid backgrounds of our presidents anyway. You know, uh, one guy almost became president, had killed somebody, Aaron Burr. You know, in a duel, he killed Al Hamilton. Well, look at the musical if you don't remember. You know, we've had all these sort of things. So to say that Trump or Biden or whoever is the worst president in history, you know, all this kind of rhetoric, it's been said, it's been done. The point is what you said, is all these politicians in the past could say these things, and once the election was over, they got to work together. They worked, they did these dealings, they did the discussion, debate, compromise, and came up with these things. Some were good, some were bad. You know, that's why we have, you know, checks and balances in our government. But today, it doesn't seem that we can even come together and disagree anymore. And
No, because it's quite a wide division. It's a big division, and it's a deep rooted division as well. I don't know how it formed. I think there are people who could explain how it formed. You know, historical politicians. Um, I don't know, but it's interesting to note that there's there's quite this divide, and I hope that for the sake of America that they can somewhat find some unity in the next 4 years and make some real progress in changing certain things about America. For example, the inflation rate has been high, and it's been high throughout President Biden's term. I hope that they can somewhat find a way to deal with that. There's all these other issues that they have with the um, um, the border, the border issues and things that need to be solved, and as well as the infrastructure. In my opinion, the infrastructure of the United States is because if you come here to Japan, there's always something going on, always something being taken care of in the infrastructure. So, which is something we need to work on. But I'll say between the United States and Japan, well, actually, but with the United States, back to President Trump, former President Trump's assassination attempt. I think that was a wake up call, and it was also a shock to to many people, and it was a shock for me actually. It was also a reminder of what happened a year or so ago. I don't know how long ago it was, with former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe here in Japan, who was they don't even have guns here in Japan, and some guy decided to make his own
he made a
weapon.
gun. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Thank you, Internet.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, there
But
we are.
but you're right. You're right. And I think what I see, and I've been telling people because they ask me what I think. I think it doesn't matter to me the next 4 years, whether it's President Trump or President Biden. The next 4 years are going to be a transition years for the United States. It doesn't matter which one is president, because when they're done, they're done. Whether Trump is president, that's the last term he can have. He can only have two. This would be his second term. He's out. You know, or
I think we are possibly poised for some change too. So
right.
we'll
So
see what
so
happens.
so now is the time for change, and this next 4 years will be change and reflection. And you're right. The assassination attempt was a wake up call, because this guy supposedly was a Republican, a gun lover, but also donated to liberal leftist groups, and this guy's a wacko, you know. And that's the problem now, is that these people are feeling emboldened, you know, in society, and this means it could happen at any time to any of us. So it's going to be very important now, the next 4 years, whoever the president's going to be, that we transition and to become a more stable nation. You know, interest rates, the border patrol, you know, or border control, or abortion, or whatever whatever the issue of the day is. Those are big time issues that will take many, many years of real debate to fix. But in terms of the conscious and the feeling of a nation, we've got to start now. You know, really got to start now. So anyway, Greggy, we're almost out of time here. So is there anything you want
We
to
sure
say?
are.
Yeah, anything you
No,
want to say?
I just want to say thank you, folks, for being loyal supporters, and for watching our musings from Japan, as we've completed our 54th musings from Japan.
Yeah.
Here I am in Okazaki, Japan, and you are in Niigata Prefecture.
Shibata,
And there we
Niigata.
are.
And
Both.
so we're going to try to do one more before you leave, go back to America. So everyone, thank you very much for tuning into Musings from Japan number 54.
54. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye,
54.
and we'll see you. And as we always say, Greg, what do we say?
Sayonara.
Sayonara.
Sayonara.